All right, guys, hi. So we are working on a Mansa Musa activity today. We talked about Mansa Musa a little bit in the notes, and I, in my class, repeatedly kept saying that we'll learn more about Mansa Musa tomorrow. We'll learn more about Mansa Musa tomorrow. So today is tomorrow. Tomorrow is today. Whatever. So we are working on a Mansa Musa activity. We are going to read slides 3 through 6 and answer the question on each slide. So there is only one question on each slide for slides 3 to 6. On slide 7, we're going to look at the map and we're going to answer the 5 questions. And then we have a primary source on slide 9, and we're going to answer the questions about it on slide 10. When we are done, we are going to turn in the activity. Then you need to work on any missing work you have or any work that you want to redo because you got a lower grade on it than you wanted. If you have no missing work and no work you want to fix, then there is a drawing activity on my desk. So, if we go here, we're going to be talking about Mansa Musa, the king of Mali. All right. Our standard for today is standard 726. So we are going to explain the importance of the Malian king, Mansa Musa, and his pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324. So we are going to locate Mali and Mecca on a map, and we're going to trace his Hajj to Mecca on a map. We also need to identify who Mansa Musa even is. We need to define what the word Mansa means, what a pilgrimage is, and what cultural blending is. And our main one for today is to explain the importance of Mansa Musa and his pilgrimage to Mecca. Again, we hit on that a little bit in the notes, but we'll go a little bit more in depth today. So, if you notice, this is set up very similar to how we did it last week with our African religions activity and with our griot activity. So, we have a slide of quick definitions. So, we have Mansa, a Mandinka word meaning sultan or emperor. So Mansa is just another title. When you hear Mansa Musa, it's like Emperor Musa or King Musa. Yeah, that sort of thing. Cultural blending is the changes a group can experience after interacting with another culture. So think of cultural blending like mixing flavors. If you've ever gone to a restaurant or a fast food place and they gave you the cup and you went to go get your own drink and you decided you were going to mix Dr. Pepper and Coke, or if you were going to mix Sprite and root beer. Don't do that. It's disgusting. But cultural blending. So you're mixing two things together. You're mixing two cultures together and you're getting a new culture. And then, of course, a pilgrimage or a Hajj. This is a journey, especially a long one, made to some sacred place as an act of religious devotion. We mostly talk about a pilgrimage or a Hajj with Islam. And with Islam, they go to Mecca. So our first question is going to be, how would Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca promote cultural blending? So how would the Malian king Mansa Musa going to a whole nother country, going to the city of Mecca, how is that going to blend those two cultures? All right. Now, if you notice again, set up the very same way. We have the reading on the left, the question on the right. One of the most powerful Mali leaders was Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa ruled the Mali Empire from around 1312 to 1332. He is thought to be the grandnephew of Sundiata, who first established the Mali Empire. Under Mansa Musa's reign, or his rule, the Kingdom of Mali expanded its borders to roughly twice its original size. The empire was so large that Mansa Musa boasted that it would take a year to travel from one end of the empire to the other. Mansa Musa was a devout Muslim, yet he allowed other religious groups to practice their faith in his kingdom. However, he worked to make Islam a stronger presence by building mosques and libraries. Remember, mosques are Muslim holy places of worship, so a mosque is like a Muslim church. He invited architects, artisans, people who make artistic things like paintings, sculptures, that sort of stuff, and scholars to come to Mali. He sent local scholars to study in North Africa so they could come back to teach in the schools that he established. Mansa Musa also believed in the importance of learning Arabic so that Muslims in the kingdom could read the Quran. So we're going to predict a possible outcome here. Number one is saying, how might the expansion of Islam of the Mali Empire under Mansa Musa also help with his goal of strengthening the Islamic religion in his kingdom? All right, so how is the expansion of Islam in his empire going to strengthen the religion? All right, then he took a pilgrimage. As a devout Muslim, Mansa Musa decided to make his Hajj. In 1324, Musa set off, accompanied by 60,000 men, including 12,000 servants or slaves, and 80 camels bearing some 300 pounds of gold. Notice in our notes it said something a little different. Again, we don't have specifics. We know it was around these numbers, so the numbers will fluctuate a bit. But either way, he had a lot of people, a good amount of camels, and a lot of gold. It was a pilgrimage like no other. The caravan traveled throughout the week, always stopping on a Friday to rest. In each place of rest, Mansa Musa would pay for the construction of a mosque. Soon stories began spreading of the great and generous Mali ruler throughout North Africa and Europe. All right, so now he's getting in people's brains. People are starting to go, have you heard about this rich guy? He's building mosques everywhere. He's traveling. He's giving people money. Starting to get stuck in their brains. He's starting to go viral. For the first time, people throughout Northern Africa and even parts of Europe learned about the fabulous wealth of the Mali kingdom. Upon arriving in Cairo, Egypt, Mansa Musa spent lavishly, showering gifts and gold upon the people. So he's blowing his money. He is giving money out left and right. He is buying stuff like crazy. This led to the economy of Cairo almost falling apart due to how much gold was in the area. One Egyptian scholar noted that Mansa Musa's visit was the most outstanding event that had happened in the city that year. The spectacle of Musa's caravan and his own generosity made such an impression on the local citizens that many years later people still spoke of his visit. All right? So, our question here is explain the importance of Mansa Musa and his pilgrimage to Mecca. So, why is what he did so important? Other than he spent a lot of gold on people. Why was it so important? Now, years after Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca, one of the most important world maps in medieval Europe included him. Part of the inscription noted that so abundant is the gold that is found in his country that he is the richest and most noble king in all the land. So, from that little description and looking at the image, what details would suggest that the artist has heard of Mansa Musa in West Africa? All right, so Mansa Musa is here. All right, this whole kind of area is West Africa. So you're going to explain the details that they put in the map, like how do you know that this is Mansa Musa? How do you know that this is representing West Africa? All right, and then we have a map. All right, so the route is going to start on the left. So it's going to start here and it ends on the right. All right, so it's starting here, it ends back here. On the way back, he's kind of looping around this way. But he's starting here. He starts on the darker black line, and then he goes all the way here, and then he's kind of coming back this way. All right, so we have 5 questions. What country or empire is the route starting in? All right. What city is the route ending at? Who is the person who traveled this route? Why did that person go to this city? And if you had to put a title on this map, what would you title it? Okay, every Monday, every time we do a map on our bell ringers, I'm always telling you, look at the title, look at the title. What would you title this map? All right, and then we're going down to our primary source. The following description of the visit to Cairo in 1324 by the king of Mali, Mansa Musa, was written by al-Umari. He visited Cairo 7 years after Mansa Musa's visit. When you are done reading, you need to answer the questions. So I'll read it out loud for you. From the beginning of my coming to stay in Egypt, I heard talk of the arrival of this Mansa Musa on his pilgrimage, and found people eager to recount what they had seen of his spending. I asked a person, and he told me of the riches of Mansa Musa. The man said, when I went out to meet him, he did me honor and treated me with the greatest courtesy. He addressed me, however, only through an interpreter, despite his perfect ability to speak in the Arabic language. Then he gave away gold and other valuables. I tried to persuade him to go meet up with the Sultan, the guy who's ruling over Cairo, Egypt. But Mansa Musa said, I came for the pilgrimage and nothing else. I do not wish to mix anything else with my pilgrimage. I realized that Mansa Musa did not want to meet the Sultan because he would have to kiss the ground in the Sultan's hand. Finally, Mansa Musa agreed. When we came into the Sultan's presence, we said to him, kiss the ground! But he refused outright, saying, how may this be? Then an intelligent man who was with him whispered to him something we could not understand, and he said, I bow only to the God who created me. Then he reluctantly bowed and went forward to the Sultan. The Sultan half rose to greet him and sat him by his side. They conversed together for a long time, and then Musa went out. The Sultan sent Mansa Musa several horses, and Mansa Musa flooded the royal office with the gift of a load of gold. Mansa Musa exchanged so much gold that he depressed its value in Egypt and caused its price to fall. So we have 4 questions to go along with that reading. What can you tell about Mansa Musa from Al-Umari's account? Remember, Al-Umari is the guy who wrote this. He is the guy who wrote this. So what is he talking about with Mansa Musa? What can we tell about him from this reading? Number 2, what does Mansa Musa mean when he says, I came for the pilgrimage and nothing else? I do not wish to mix anything else with my pilgrimage. Number 3, what can you tell about the amount of Mansa Musa's wealth? And then number 4, how is it possible for Mansa Musa to depress or lower the value of gold in Egypt? And how do you think this works? So to help out with number 4, I want to give an example. If you're lowering the value of something, that means there's too much of it. So think about when a toy comes out on the market and a lot of people aren't buying it. There's a lot of it left over in the store. It will usually go on sale, meaning that you are spending less money for it. But then, think about when stuff's starting to go out of stock. A prime example of this is toilet paper. Remember at the beginning of the quarantine, 2020, it was really hard to find toilet paper. And when you could find it, you had to pay a lot more for it. There you go. When there's more of it, it's worth less. When there's less of it, it is worth more. So there's your hint for number 4. More, 4. I rhymed. I didn't mean to. And then the very last slide. Hey, if you're all done, turn it in and work on your missing work. If you have no missing work, there's a drawing activity on my desk that you can grab to draw on. I'll explain it when you grab it. If you're not here, if you're absent, if you're at home, you have COVID, you're contact traced, whatever, don't worry about the drawing activity. Just work on any missing work you have. Don't have any missing work and you're done with this? Well, then I guess you're done for today. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll talk to you later.